Good morning. We have a public hearing this morning to consider the adoption of the 2018 operating budget and the 2018 capital budget. I would now call on the town clerk to please read the hearing notice.
Good morning. Notice is hereby given that the preliminary operating and capital budgets of the town of Islip for fiscal year beginning January 1, 2018 have been completed and filed in the office of the town clerk at Town Hall, Islip, New York. Further notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of Islip will hold a public hearing at the Town Hall, 655 Main Street, Islip, New York, at 10:30 a.m. on the 9th day of November 2017 to consider adopting the 2018 operating and capital budgets. At such time, hearing, all citizens are invited to attend and provide the town board with written and oral comments concerning the town's entire proposed budget. The entire proposed budget can be inspected by the public from 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, in the town clerk's office, Town Hall, Islip, New York.
Thank you, Olga. Have we received any written comment?
No.
Okay. All righty. At this time, anyone who wishes to address the board with respect either to the operating budget or the capital budget, the preliminary budgets, may now do so. So if you wish to speak and haven't yet filled out a card, please do so. And you have a maximum of 3 minutes. I do have one card, Robert Stadelman.
Good morning. Robert Stottleman, Vice President, Exchange Ambulance Corp. of the Islips, 190 Carlton Avenue, East Islip. Good morning, Supervisor Carpenter and Islip Town Council. I'd like to take a moment to thank the Town Council for their continued support of Exchange Ambulance. My fellow officers, members, and I cannot do what we do without your support. I would like to explain what it is that we do, as many people do not think about their local emergency medical services until they need an ambulance. The Town Council has a responsibility to ensure that emergency medical services are provided to the residents of the community. For East Islip, Islip Terrace, Islip, and Great River, this responsibility is fulfilled via a contract between the Town of Islip and Exchange Ambulance, a volunteer 501c3 nonprofit organization. Exchange Ambulance takes the responsibility of providing this essential service extremely seriously. Our members attend thousands of hours of training each year to keep up to date with the ever-evolving treatment protocols as required by New York State and respond to over 3,000 calls every year. So far, in 2017, we've already answered 223 more calls than the same time period in 2016, an increase of 8%. As we have mentioned several times before, our facility has numerous structural issues as described by a licensed professional structural engineer. And due to the continuing increases in call volume, we have significantly outgrown our building. We are in desperate need of a properly constructed and expanded facility so that we can continue to meet the ever-increasing responsibilities of providing emergency medical services to our community. In the years between which our current facility was constructed and today, our call volume has more than doubled. We are doing everything possible to keep the costs as low as possible and ensure that we have the capability to respond to calls for assistance today and for many, many years into the future. We look forward to continuing to work with the Town Council to ensure this becomes a reality. It should also be noted that as per the 2016 New York State Building Code, our facility is designated as an essential facility and as such requires an increased 15% of additional loading for the structural systems. It is for these reasons that I ask the Town Council approve both our operating budget and capital budget that includes our new facility. Thank you for your time and continued support.
Rob, if you could, that last sentence about in 2016, it was the state?
Yes, in 2016, the New York State Building Code states, or the version of the 2016 New York State Building Code states that our facility is considered an essential facility, and as such has additional loading requirements for the structural systems. From what I understand, our current facility is not close to that standard.
Okay, thank you. I have no other cards, so we will close the public portion at this time. Motion to close.
Make a motion to close.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor, opposed, the public portion is closed. I would ask the controller, before we go to the first item on the agenda, which is the operating budget, I'd ask Mr. Ludwig, if you would please come forward and just give us a brief overview on what has transpired and what we have here before us.
Sure. Joseph Ludwig, Controller for the Town of Islip, 401 Main Street, Islip, New York. Good morning, all. Congratulations to those who just won the other day. Well done. What you have in front of you, and it was what was presented to you back in September, is a preliminary budget, and that obviously is going to take care of all the costs and estimated revenues that we're going to hopefully see in 2018. As I've stated before, and I apologize for the extreme genericness of my language, but it is a very status quo budget. There are no new initiatives. There are no great, wonderful new programs that we're going to be doing. It is the same budget we're doing, not the same budget, but the same programs we're doing, and that in itself is important. In the days of the tax cap that we're living with now, trying to perform the same services we've been doing year in, year out has been getting harder. The mantra of do more with less, all municipalities are facing that same issue, and this budget was prepared with that in mind. You have, additionally, there are adjustments that were done from when that budget was submitted. I believe you all have received the copies of those adjustments. The quick nutshell of what those adjustments are, after sitting with the supervisor, there were some positions, vacant positions that had been requested, and we came up with the plan of delaying those. So instead of being budgeted for a full year, some were put in as an April 1st start date or a June start date or a September start date, depending on what we felt was most reasonable and would be most likely to be supporting the department's initiatives. That is the true 100,000-foot view. Again, the budget now that you guys will hopefully vote on this morning is tax cap compliant. It does have a very modest tax increase of approximately 1.7%, which equates to about $9.23 to the average homeowner. Again, in the days of the no tax cap and when people could kind of go and raise taxes however they wanted and very few people ever noticed, the town did not do that in those days. We are now trying to get our fiscal house in order, which we've done over the last several years. Thank you, Madam Supervisor, as well as the rest of the town board, for the budgets that have been passed. And this is a very responsible budget. Like I said, we're not doing anything crazy. It is really maintaining the services we've been providing and holding the line on taxes at the same time, which in today's economy is getting harder and harder.
I would just like to add to that, Joe, and thank you and your team for the job that you have done in getting us to this point with this tax cap compliant budget. A no frills, but also no cut in services, no layoffs, which I think is very important to note. The process and working with the departments really began in the summer. It is a long, arduous process. And two, want to thank all the department heads and their teams for being reasonable and responsible in their requests and understanding where not all requests could be granted. Some of the operating costs, and again, the operating budget, operating costs, sort of, pay as you go. Some of the operating costs are very hard to predict, snow removal being one of them. We keep our fingers crossed and we hope for the best. And we're in that mode right now. Rosary beads are out and hoping that it doesn't snow. But it is part of the art of budgeting and doing it effectively. So again, I want to thank you and your team. Also, too, a lot of the requests for staffing that has to be put off means people have to work harder, and our town employees are doing that. They're really doing an incredible job of delivering services to the public in a very professional and caring way. And it's very interesting. Yesterday, when I was going through the mail, I actually had 3 different letters from residents applauding different employees in our town and their attitude and their helpfulness. And, you know, that's really what makes the town of Islip so special. So I want to use this opportunity on behalf of the entire town board to thank our employees for what they do in making Islip something that we all strive to be very proud of. There was one other point I wanted to make, that with the number of employees, it can affect the overtime if we don't have the right size number of employees, but we are working in that realm too, in reducing some of the overtime costs. And part of that is the pre-authorization of overtime process that was implemented soon after I got here that has helped a bit. And also, too, the need for increased public safety, certainly with all of the incidents that have happened, you know, worldwide in the past, have brought us to a point where we are ever more sensitive to the public safety needs, and we were able to add additional park rangers to have more eyes and ears out there. So that will be carried over into this budget too, and that hopefully will help us with the overtime and at the same time increasing our public safety presence out there for the public. Are there any particular questions for Joe while he's up here, or comments from any of the town board? Councilwoman?
Joe, thank you very much for your diligence on making sure that we stay below the tax cap. Just asking that if you could please coordinate with the Office of Public Information and see to it that this document be placed on our website so that all of the residents of the town of Islip don't have to make their way to the clerk's office to view it, but that they can go to our website to see it.
Yeah, as soon as the budget gets adopted, we'll do the same budget book that we had done last year, the supervisor message, the narratives from all the department, and that full document will get posted online as soon as it's completed.
Okay, typically we do it before the vote so that the public could see it, so that they could be at today's forum if they wanted to join us. So,
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, a couple of questions. Joe, one, thank you for doing a great job here with staying on this tax cap. It's my understanding, or just, you know, so everyone knows, the public, health insurance is going up about 11% this year.
Yeah, I think the number that Empire had in their worst case scenario was a 10.7% increase, and by all accounts, that was the number we were kind of factoring into when we did the budget. That, you know, I think our overall health insurance is somewhere in the $22 million range, so obviously even just a 10% increase is roughly $2 million, and that was more than what we had underneath the cap to play with to begin with. So it was a bit of a struggle to get underneath.
And I knew there was a lot of work or a struggle to try to keep up the tax cap, and you have expenses like they ever face it. Other thing, a lot of people don't realize, we're still paying a mortgage. We're still paying MTA tax.
Yes.
And I think it's about roughly 170,000 or something like that.
Somewhere in that range, yes.
Which, again, a lot of people don't know we have these other hidden taxes that we're still dealing with. We had a couple of years back, we had to have a tax increase when it was because of a lot of the storms and stuff. So we have our reserves back. I'm sort of looking at the commissioner in the background from DPW, from the snowstorms, the hurricanes, superstorms, and all that. So our reserves are back up. We paid back all that overtime and all
Correct.
that.
Yeah, the 2017 budget was able to reset the highway fund. That's the fund that pays for the bulk of the snow removals. So those storms of 14, 15, 16 had a significant impact. 2017, we were able to kind of reset them. And as the supervisor has mandated, we will have no snow in 2017. So we should be in good shape coming 2018.
We will pass a resolution. Yeah, there's the answer. Thank you.
In this year's budget, there's also no budgeting for more meters or anything like that.
No.
And another thing I saw, I know me and this board for 12 years, we used to not have like any capital for parking lot repairs. Last year, I think we had $1 million, and we have $1 million for this year also.
That's correct. In many conversations I've had with Commissioner Owens, as he's asked, hey, can I use this money for this? The one item that has come up most recently has been the parking lots, and many parking lots throughout the town have come to deplorable conditions because they have been ignored since my time, and I'm sure for many years before. So that is something we have started to add to the capital budget.
So just letting the public know, there was no, I know from past capital, there was nothing for any of the parking lots, and I thank the Commissioner for DPW, did a great job in the Bay Shore Station. He's doing next phase this weekend. But again, there's $1 million for this year for more parking lot improvements.
Correct.
That's all my questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the adjustments to the 2018 preliminary budget and adopt the 2018 operating budget as amended. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Flatter and second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? The budget is approved. Now let's go on to the capital budget. Unlike the operating budget, the capital budget is basically just a plan, not an actual budget. Kind of think about it as a to-do list for your home. We walk around a house and think of all of the things we'd like to get done, and you kind of have to prioritize. There are wants, there are needs, and we need to address the needs first. So that's what we're looking at here today, a capital budget plan. It all can't be done in 1 year. Maybe it can be done in a year, 3 years, 5 years, but again, we're presenting a plan. But at some point in time, these things need to be done. That's why they rise to the level of being included in the capital budget. Delaying some items may mean that it could cost more in the long run, but sooner or later, it has to be done. In order to spend capital budget money, again, this is just a plan. In order to spend the money, it will come back before the board for a vote, and it is a supermajority vote with any of the bonding, requires 4 votes out of 5, not just a simple majority. The other thing that I just wanted to say, improvements, these kinds of capital items are long-term improvements, bulkheading, playgrounds, things that have a long life. We've just approved some things, the animal shelter, paving roads, sidewalks. That's all what the capital budget is designed for. And by law, you cannot bond or borrow for these projects longer than their useful life. There is a very specific grid that you have to follow, and bond counsel, presents that to us and makes sure that everything that we're doing is compliant, so that you cannot you can't bond 10 years for something that has a 5-year life. And it's interesting because we've had speakers in the past who come up and chastise us for, borrowing for 40 years for, a truck that isn't going to last that long, and certainly that is not a practice that ever takes place in this town. It is not legal, and we would never entertain doing that. So we need to pass a capital budget. Again, it is a plan, and I feel very strongly, and I know that many of you share that, as elected officials, we're caretakers of the assets of this town. It's our responsibility to make sure that everything is kept in good order. And that hopefully is what this capital plan is set to do. Joe, is there anything else that you can add to the capital budget that is before us?
Of any great substance, probably not. The capital budget is where we have our fancy stuff, our shiny stuff, our fun things that we get to tote, but within our capital budget, generally speaking, it's the same boring stuff year in, year out. It's improvements to facilities, it's the parking lots, it's playground improvements and heavy equipment, things of that nature. So we don't really have a lot of fun stuff. The only thing that I do want to point out within the capital budget that, again, are kind of newish, for lack of a better term, I know there is money put in here specifically for a bulkheading town-wide analysis to kind of, I think the plan is going to be to grade the docks and marinas that we have and to get an independent assessment as to how they are, what needs improvement, what doesn't. That's a new project that's in here. You, again, will see $3 million for pool improvements. I don't want to speak on behalf of Commissioner Owens and Parks and Recreation, but I believe that money is going to be intended to be used to take care of Byron Lake, as that tub has been failing for several years, so I think that is the next pool that's going to get worked on. So again, that's kind of one of those above and beyond the norms, because obviously we're not doing pools every year. That really, unfortunately, is it. It's the big ticket items, which is why they sit capital, not operating, but it is the same stuff year in, year out.
Are there any questions for Joe while he's up here?
Joe, question. The TEP grant we're doing in Bay Shore for the repaving, is that in this budget? It's $535,000?
The debt service for that is included in the operating budget. The
Okay.
money for the TEP grant, I believe we borrowed that in 2016 as our match.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
that's already been acquired, and we've actually been using it as we started to spend money on the TEP grant project.
And Maple Avenue 2, the marina, the dock there, is that captured into next year or the year after?
I would have to confirm that with Commissioner Owens. I'm not sure when that was included in his bulkheading money.
Okay, thank you.
Some of the, we had a speaker earlier, Mr. Stadelman from Exchange, and that money is in here. Again, the plan is in here for that. It's been submitted. We will obviously be doing our due diligence before anything happens. They would have to go out to bid. We would have to bond. They'd have to go out to bid. But we will be doing our due diligence on that project before anything happens, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Actually, a question. This is a plan, so we adopted, for example, even the exchange ambulance, $8.5 million. If it comes in their bids $6 million or $7 million, that's all you end up borrowing, that's all you end up floating, correct?
Well, the way it would work in a case like that, we don't really know what the cost would be until the bid hits the street. So we would authorize assuming we authorize the approval for an $8.5 million bond. That's what we need to get the ball rolling. Once the numbers come back and, knock on wood, it comes in at $6 million, then I would only sell $6 million. There'd be no need to sell additional monies.
Now, if we end up doing this plan at $6 million, it ends up being $8 million, what ends up happening to happen? Like, that's part of, like, a lot of times that we end up sometimes shaving it up a little just to have enough here to have the wiggle room because you don't know what the bid's going to be at.
Right, and again, that's what usually you work with the engineer on the project, and they'll come back with the estimated costs, especially when it comes to facilities, because you never really know exactly. So you have a cost estimate that usually includes, the standard overage amount. It's usually, I think, 5–10%. Again, Commissioner Owens could probably give me a better answer on that. But that would all get factored into whatever the total project cost would be. If the project cost still came in above and beyond that, we have the ability to go back to amend the existing bond resolution because it's nothing that we could have known about. It wasn't discovered until after the bids were opened. And like I said, if it comes in under, which is what everybody hopes, well, then you only have to issue the amount that you needed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions or comments for the controller? Hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the capital budget.
Make a motion to approve the capital budget.
Motion by Councilman Cochran,
Second.
second by Councilman Flatteren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, we have 3 in favor, 2 opposed to the capital program. The motion passes. This concludes the business before the board today. However, I'm going to make a motion to convene to executive session to discuss some pending litigation. Do a motion? Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Flatteren. All those in favor? Opposed? We will now close the public portion, go into
Close the,
public,
after we get back.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back to that. Thank you. Thank you all. We are back from executive session. I now need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close?
Motion by Councilman Flatteren. Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The public hearing is closed. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Major emergencies can strike in an instant, and in those moments, information is the key to staying safe. Town of Islip officials urge residents to take advantage of Islip's e-alert system to stay informed during hurricanes and major emergencies and to receive important news in their community. Residents, businesses, and community leaders can all benefit from this system, which can instantaneously pass important information to those who have signed up. The alert system has evolved into a necessary tool for all Islip residents, and here to stress the importance is Islip Town Supervisor Angie Carpenter.
You know, being the supervisor of the town, one of the most important things to me is making sure we keep our residents safe. And we try to give you those tools whenever possible, get information to you in a timely fashion. And one of the ways we can do that is with our e-alert system. So if you haven't already done so, I ask that you please go to the Town of Islip website, islipny.gov, and go to the link for e-alert. Put your information in there, and this way, whatever disaster may be coming our way, and hopefully there are none, but any information that we need to get to you, we can get to you in a timely fashion. Thank you so much, and please stay safe.
When did paying for airfare become so unfair? At Southwest, we do things differently. So differently, we invented a word for it: transparency. Transparency means we don't dream up ways we can trick you into paying more. It means respect. Because we don't just fly you, we like you.
A new day is dawning in America. This year, America's hardworking men and women will leave millions of vacation days unused. Today, 10,000 babies will be born without their loved ones around. This afternoon alone, 6,200 couples will be married, but only a fraction of their friends and family will be able to attend. But there is a new day dawning in America where millions of Americans can afford to take the time they deserve to visit this great land, to be there for life-changing events, to create new jobs, start new businesses, and embrace life to its fullest with an airline that is committed to a prouder, stronger, and better flying experience, with fares that are affordable, with service that is dependable, and with a friendly experience tailored to you. That airline is Frontier. And come rain or snow or dark of night, Frontier will deliver on the promise of low fares done right. It's a new day in America. Why would we ever want to fly another way?